Hey guys, Chip here. So today let's talk a little bit about materials, and in particular, the concept of trim sheets and atlases and what are they good for? And also, let's do a little primer on UVs and talk a little bit about UVs as well.
All right, let's talk about materials. Open up Kit Ops.
Let's grab some, like a wood or something like that. So if I add this material to this object, you can see that it works nicely. And let's just go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and we'll just add some kind of negative shape to it as well. Let's just make this, we'll grow this up a little bit, like something like that. Turn off my face orientations. Now, this material maps nicely all the way around this, right? It's a wood material. So let's take a look at this material for just a second. And we'll see that this material has an image called wood01.ping. So let me go ahead and pull this out, and we'll go and we'll grab the image editor and we'll look at that texture. So that's what that material is. It's a tileable material, right? So basically what we're doing here is we're just tiling this material on this object. And in here, we're setting it to object as the mapping texture coordinates. And in here, we've got this set to box. So let's go a little bit different here. Let's just go ahead and delete this now. And let's create a new material. And we'll just Control T using Node Wrangler. We're going to add the same image texture, mapping, and texture coordinates. And instead of UV, we're going to say the same thing as object. And in this image, we're going to use the same wood. Now, when we do this, notice it goes straight down, right? And what we need to do is we're going to change this to box. And that's going to get it to go all the way around. And so by doing this, it doesn't really matter something called UVs, which we'll talk about a little later, but they're not taking account. For instance, if I hook this up to UVs, you'll see that it doesn't work at all, right? So it needs to be either in generated or in object mode. And object's probably better because it scales a little better. And let's talk about UVs for a second. So we're back at the beginning, right? And we have this material. I'm going to call this one our test material. What I want to do is let's delete this and let's create a new texture. I'm going to call this test also. And we don't need an alpha. And we'll have the default color. We'll make something like, maybe something like this. Okay, so that's our material. We've got it boxed. I'm going to make it flat. Let's just actually reset this. I can go over here, reset the node, and then just make sure that we've got this material set up. If I delete this, by the way, let's just go ahead and we're turn this off. And now we're by default using UVs for this object, right? So turn that off as the same exact thing as making sure that we're hooked up with the UV right here. It's the same thing. So I'll just do that. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. Same thing. Let's go now into texture paint and let's talk about that a little bit. And I want the brush to be something like green, and let's move this down. If I draw on this, you'll see that it shows up here. And if I go over here and go to the edge over here, it goes straight down. It just doesn't work. We go ahead and pull down a shader editor real quick and look at this. Because this is set to UV, and if I say flat box, it's not going to do anything there. So how do I get it to map correctly? That's what UVs are for. So let's go tab into this object and let's say U, and I'm going to say cube projection. There's a few ones you got to understand. Unwrap, smart UV project, cube projection, and project from view and project from view bounds. Those are the ones that almost always I use. I don't use many others, and I'll explain how they work here in just a second. But for now, let's say hit UV wrapping, cube projection. And now what happens is we see that same image is on every single face because it's done a cube projection. So if I start drawing, you'll see how that works. See, here it shows up on everywhere. Now, what if we want to control that projection? Let's go ahead into the UV editing and let's look at this. So here we are. If we look at cube projection, we see there's one face right here, and let's just go into one. So you can see there's the vertices. And if I take this face and I go over here and I select it over here, let's go into 3 mode. So we'll just select the face and we move it. You can see that we're moving that around in that space. That's something to be aware of. Now let's talk about some of these modes. So this means that whatever we put on one, we're going to see it on all the others. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe we want to have something different on each one of these. So how do we do that? One quick way is we say U and we say smart UV project, and we'll just leave the defaults alone. And now we have 6 faces, right? So let's go back into our texture paint area. So let's go ahead now and let's find a color for our paintbrush. And now, as you watch, this is the top view. Here's top. And then we have, let's just say, this is the front. This is the right. This is the left. This is the back and the bottom. Now you can see that's how these all line up. And that's one way of doing it. The problem is if I go from here to here, they don't go from there to there over here. So if I want them to line up over here, for instance, if I want to take this image into Photoshop and I'm trying to have things go across the edges, I can't really line those up very easily. So how do we fix that? We'll go back into UV editing real quick. And now we're going to tab into this 3, take this, this, and this. And you can see that now we have 3 that are lined up this way and 3 that are lined up that way. Now, under the select, you can say select loops and you can say select boundary loop. So that gives you those edges that I selected. And then we say Control E, or we can go into edge and we can say mark seam. And so that marks a UV seam. Then I select all the faces and I go U and I just say unwrap. And now when I've done that, now let's go back into our texture paint. And now if I draw down here, you see that goes across because these 3 are actually connected and these 3 are connected. So you can see how that works. Sometimes you need to unwrap. I generally speaking, don't spend a lot of time unwrapping. Typically cylinders are good to unwrap. And let's just do that real quick. I'm going to go back into our layout and I'm going to hide this and Shift A, mesh. And let's do a circle, tab into it, make a face, extrude it up. Okay, take that face. And remember our select boundary loop, we'll do that right there. And then Control E will give us the ability to mark the seam. And then let's just grab any one of these seams. It doesn't really matter, but I'll just take one that's directly in front of us. So we'll grab that one right there and say Control E, mark seam. Now notice I'm doing all this in the layout view. I don't need to be in the UV editing view if I don't want to for this stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's just go ahead and add in here also the shader editor. And let's add the test object to this as well. So here's our object. And so let's say AU unwrap. And so see how that unwrapped it? Now, that being said, that was one way of doing it. Another way to do it is AU Smart UV Project, because it's going to actually get a very similar look.
Unfortunately, it added a seam on the sides of the cylinder.
When we do trim sheets using displacement maps or any of the flex tools, we're not going to use Smart UV Project. What we will use Smart UV Project for is when we go to bake textures. So that's an important consideration, but we're going to get to that here later in this video. When I tab into this, let's go back to layout real quick. I'm going to add this insert and cut into this thing right here, right? So you'll see it doesn't really do a good job of figuring out the UVs on this object. And if I were to go ahead now and I'm going to interrupt here real quick. I just want to show you something about these UVs. So as we look at this image, we can add a new one, say new, and make it 2048. And I want to use a generated type of a UV grid and say, okay. And then we're going to call this untitled. So we'll go over here and say untitled. So when you see that, this will tell you what's going on. Let's just go into our UV mapping, our UV editing thing, and let's go tab, select all, use Smart UV Project. Let's go back to our layout. And you can see now this is working quite a bit nicer. So a lot of times you want to use this new map type. It's called UV grid. Okay, back to the program. Let's just go down to KitOps here and say convert to mesh. And then we say remove all these wire inserts. And now let's go back into our UV editing and take a look at this stuff. And we've got all this weird stuff going on over here. And some of it's okay, most of it's not. And so here, when we do something like this, we say Smart UV Project is always a good idea to do. So this is typically done when you're getting ready to do a bake. The idea being that you will bake the existing materials onto the UV mesh. And in so doing so, you can optimize the area that the UV mesh is using for the faces of your object. By the way, you notice I put in my quick menu, the show overlays, the select boundary loop are both of them in. Okay, so let's talk next about traditional UV mapping. So I'm going to hide this, Shift A, and let's put a monkey in here. I'm going to create a new material. And I'm going to go ahead in this case, and I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier. So let's go to maybe 2 and shade smooth it so you can see what we have. Now I'm going to go and let's create a new image, and we call that monkey. Now, the resolution here will tell us how fine this is. So real quick, I'm going to do a 128 by 128 image. Okay, so typically it's nice to make these square. UVs want these as square and powers of 2. So let's do that. So there's our image. Now I'm going to go back into texture paint. If we look in here, we're going to see this monkey is already UV mapped. That's because when you create the monkey, it actually has the UV mapping. So if I go over here and I want to choose a color like this blue color and make his eyes blue, I can come over here and do that. And you can see, this is it over here. Here they are, but you can see it's really very fuzzy. Let's do the same thing. And I'm going to say new, and I'm going to make this 2048 by 2048. And we'll call this monkey. So now we'll go over here and with monkey 2K, zoom out. And now when we start playing with these images here, you can see it's much, much tighter. The images are, so the resolution of the UV map is important. Regardless of the resolution, these UVs are going to be mapped in the same way. This map is the 2K version, right? And if we look at the 1K version, here's the 1K version. Remember that was that one. But the actual polygons are positioned the same way. They're flattened in the same way. So you can adjust texture maps without having to mess with the UVs. So that's important consideration to keep in mind. Right now, all we're doing is viewing different images. If we want to actually switch them, we switch them by just going here, monkey, there's that, and there's that, right? So that's how we switch them. Okay, let's go to layout, and I'm going to show the wireframe. So let's go back into shade flat so you can see what's going on. So this is very fine, but now when I turn this subdivision off, you can see that the maps still stay the same. There are modifiers that when you add them, they don't change things. Let's go into one like a simple deform, right? So a simple deform, if I just start adjusting this, notice that the mapping stays the same, right? So a lot of modifiers will stay the same. Let me show you another one. Here's another one that mostly does. If I decimate, and let's do 0.1. So if I decimate, it's going to stay the same, right? But if I go planar, sometimes it'll move things around. Now, this doesn't have enough. Let's add a little more color in here so we can just get an idea of what's going on. Let's see. I'm going to hide the decimate one so I can just look at this. So let's just put some stuff over here. I'll put some stuff up on here and here. And you can see what we have this whole thing here. Okay, so now when I turn on this decimate, that one that was there moved over here. This stuff, some of the stuff won't do the exact same. So decimate sometimes will move things around, especially in planar. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, another thing to understand is once you know what this is, you can export this image to Photoshop, and then you can just paint it in there and then import it back in. And they have this thing called reload. So if you keep the same image name, you're just going to reload it right in there. Okay, so now I want to talk about atlases. One of the issues with regard to moving models from one application to another is that everybody uses a different shader system, right? So this one, for instance, that texture map that we were just looking at right here, this gray with a little, burnishing on the edge of the wear of the metal. It's a gray, dirty gray paint. If you just look at this object and we look at this group right here, I can tab into it and you're going to see there's just tons of stuff here, but it's just full of different nodes. And none of these are compatible with Unity or with Unreal or with Maya or with 3D Max. Nobody's talks to anybody else's in terms of their shading language. So that means that there's got to be a way to move models like this one from one to another. And the way that's typically done is through UV mapping, where we just basically create UV maps, bake the textures onto the object. And then once they're baked on, we can basically export that object and the UV maps, and then they can just be applied in the different apps. And so let's talk about this. So if we look at this object right now, we're going to bake onto it. And I'm not going to go through a lot of detail about baking, but I will show you a great product that I use for doing it. And it's pretty straightforward. So the way that works is I'm going to go right into UV editing right now. And I'm going to look at this and you can see this is all screwed up UVs. This is all created with Booleans and stuff like that. It works because of the fact that we're using that cubic mapping where we're not using UVs to map this. So what I want to do first is I want to create a new set of UVs. So I've got this set of UVs and I want to create a new one. And I'll hit this plus button here and I'll double click here and I'll type in Simple Bake, because Simple Bake is the product I'm going to use. So I want to basically take everything from this, from here, and I want to bake it on using these UVs. Now these UVs are going to be different. I'm going to say select all, Smart UV Project, and say okay. And so that's going to basically fill out this whole square. Doesn't matter what it is, whatever, but it'll fill out this whole square with all the UVs in an optimal way. So I'm going to get the best use of my baked maps onto here. So with that said, I'm going to go into Simple Bake. Now, Simple Bake is a tremendous baking application. Everybody, if you're doing UV maps in Blender, you need to own Simple Bake. I'll put a link to it in the description, but it's just a great product. It's so easy to use. It's very powerful. I'm going to just explain it really quick. We're going to basically PBR bake this object. So I'm going to basically say, add that object. Here's the object selected. And I want my diffuse. I probably want metalness. Let's get that emission because that's glowing. We want a normal. Let's just use those 4 right now. Let's keep moving down. Texture settings. So I can make this higher, like 2K. Maybe 2K is a good number. 1K is maybe a good number. The higher the resolution, the higher the detail. But I think actually in this particular little model, 1K is probably going to be just fine. Plus it'll work pretty fast for us. So we want to go into UV settings. We want to say prefer existing UV maps called Simple Bake. Remember, we already created them before. And then we'll go into some of these other settings. We want to copy objects and apply the bakes and then hide the source object. So it's basically going to create a new version of this and apply the new bakes. And once that's done, I can do it in the background and the foreground. I always do it in the foreground so I can watch it. And here, we'll just click this and we'll see how it's going. So as you can see, what's going on is it's going to bake each one of these independently of each other. And it's going to tell you what's going on here. And it actually happens surprisingly fast. We're at 60%, 100% through on that one map. And now we're done. Okay. So now this is our new baked object, right? So if I look at this object, here's the old one right up here. That's hidden. And here's the new one. And if I look at it, let's just tab into it. You can see, let's just go up here, move this up. And here's the newly made material. So here's the diffuse map. That's the diffuse map. This is the emission map. That's the emission map. And here is the normal map. And there's a normal map. And then we have in here a metalless map as well. And that's it. And you can see where the paint is scratching through, white is going to be what's metal on here. And you can tell that's what that is. We can export this object and these maps, and we can open it up in any other 3D app that supports UV mapping, which just about all of them do. Now, one thing I want to talk about is these are what I call atlases. Now, different people have different terms for different things, but I'm going to call these atlases. The reason why I'm calling them atlases is because there's no rhyme or reason to any of this, any of the way the layouts are or the actual background material. It's just all done programmatically by the computer. So that's why I call them atlases. Now, there's lots of different ways of doing these. You can have multiple atlases per UV map. There's a lot of things like that. But right now, we're just going to talk about having one UV map and one atlas per object. For now, this is what I want to get across, is that these are atlases, and this is a baked object that has all of these materials put onto one atlas. Okay, so that's it for atlases. Understand now that we can basically take whatever we do in our shader editor and we can convert it into something that can be used by other programs. So next, let's talk about trim sheets and how we can use them not only to optimize our texture mapping, but also to help us design as well. And in particular, we're going to use trim sheets with displacement maps. And that's going to be really interesting. We have a product called Sci-Fi FLEX that helps this, and we'll talk about that as well. So stay tuned for the next version of this, where we get into great detail, and we'll show you how we create objects like this with extreme ease. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we convert these objects into something that can be just used on game engines and other 3D applications. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you online.